There are possibly half a dozen people I would drop everything for, and when Tammy from MTN Grandma and Tina from Life in Piedmont invited me to CakeFest, I knew exactly what I wanted to make. It's a blast from 80s UK school dinner past, and something that will put a smile on any of our faces. So let's get making it together! School sprinkle cake was one of the 3 main treats we would get for school dinners in 1980s British schools. We kids knew it was a special day, or the last day of term when they rolled out the sprinkle cake, which used to be served with yellow, pink, or chocolate custard, depending on just how important the day was and what cook had left in the larder if it was the end of term. It's incredibly simple to make by nature, as when we were kids, school cooks cooked from scratch, and I mean from scratch, with 1 ingredients, and we had a proper cooked dinner that was served by the 6th form prefect at the head of our tables, and everything had to be eaten on our plates or there'd be no pudding unless special dispensation was given. This particular recipe is for a double batch because, trust me, you'll want to make 2. Okay, so we're going to start off by creaming the butter and sugar together until it's light and fluffy. You can do this in a mixer if you wanted to, and if you really wanted to save time, you could stick all the ingredients in together and it would still work. You just need to wait for it to get all fluffy and pale. You know, today I'm just doing it with my spatula because that's what's easiest for me. And that's okay. Use what you have. We used to make this with a wooden spoon. I have done it with a whisk. Not been a problem. And in the mixer, the electric mixer, it's just as easy, and with a handheld. But you do want to get it a little bit floofed together and creamed well. And then you want to add your eggs, and you're going to do this one at a time. Okay, we don't want the cream and sugar to curdle. It can minimally affect the batter, so we don't want to do that. And of course, my first break, I drop in the shell because that's what's got to happen, right? So we're going to mix in our egg, get it really well combined in there, and mixed in with everything else. And so on and so forth with the remaining 3 eggs. You want to add them in individually, beat them in well. Now, if the batter does start to curdle, you can add like a tablespoon of your flour to pull it all back together again. It's not necessarily that necessary. I just like to be able to say that I've done it and not curdled it, because, you know, there's a bit of pride that comes with baking. When I told Tanny I was planning to make this for the collab, he literally lost his mind. For the past few days, I've had all kinds of phone calls asking if it's done yet, and can we have custard. Today, whilst the cake is in the oven, he decides he's going to call me and ask if we can have chocolate custard, because this was that important of an occasion. Of course I said yes. And I'm going to have to wait till he gets home because I can't reach the cocoa because he put it at the back of the tallest shelf in the tallest cupboard in our kitchen. And I'm a shorty. But it'll get done. Just, you'll have to put up with cake for this one. So our last egg is going in to getting beaten. And so far I haven't curdled anything. And spoiler alert, I don't curdle it. I've done an awesome job. I'm not going to lie. I'm really pleased with it. And it looks great. Next off, we're going to add the vanilla in. And for this, I'm going to use some very special vanilla that was sent to me by some very special people over in the US. And I'm going to have to do some extra baking in the next couple of months because I'm moving and I can't take my bottle of vanilla with me because it's been opened. If I'd left it shut, I would have been able to take it, but because it's been opened, I can't. So it's probably going to get donated to one of the kids at this point. Yeah, but it's all good. And just vanilla, measure it with your heart, you know that, and add in your flour. Now you can sift your flour if you want to. I don't like always going through that. It's not always that necessary. And this is an everyday cake. It's not a special angel floof butt cherub cake. Okay, so you know, you can chuck it together in 10 minutes, go and get dressed, get ready for work, pull it out the oven, and it's ready for when you get home. You know, it's that kind of cake. So yeah, just add in your flour, add in your little bit of milk at this point as well, and we're good to go. Literally, it's awesome. It's that quick. And like I said, you can stick it in the mixer and put in everything all together and just walk away for 5 minutes while you put the kettle on, if that's what you want to do. Now I found these 2 rectangular springform pans and have decided to line the bottom, which is fine. That's not a problem at all. And honestly, I was quite impressed with these. Really impressed. You can line the sides of your cake tin if that's what you wish. I decided I wasn't going to because apparently that's what I decided today. Was that a good idea? It is non-stick. It's supposed to be non-stick. But I thought I'd just experiment a bit. But I definitely always want to at least put paper down on the base of my tin, if nothing else. The other thing that I always do is I put my cake tins or anything that I'm putting in the oven that is smaller than a baking tray on a baking tray. It's easier to bring out, it's less likely to cause accidents, and I much prefer doing it this way. Because I can have 2 hands with 2 cloths and not have to worry about, you know, getting my hands stuck together or any of that kind of nonsense. These 2 actually perfectly sat side by side on my baking tray, and I was so very pleased because they're just the perfect size for one batch of cake. I know a lot of people, when they do double batches of cakes and make 2 or 3 or 4 cakes or whatever, they tend to just pour the batter out or whatever. I don't do that. I prefer to put a couple of spoonfuls in one cake tin and then a couple in the other. I find that I end up with a more even result and 2 cakes that are around about the same size, not one a little bit bigger than the other one. If you know, you know. I mean, come on, right? And once we've used up all the cake batter that way and evenly distributed it between the 2 cake tins, we're going to put it in a preheated 180 degrees Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit or gas mark 4 or 160 Celsius if you have a fan forced oven, or gas mark 6 if you're my shitty oven. You know, I'm just saying, you know your oven best, but if it's around about that kind of degrees, you're good. And these are going to take 30 to 35 minutes. In fact, even so, in my oven, I had to put them in for another 10 minutes. Well, the second one anyway, and you'll see why. But even them out, flatten them off, get them in the corners, do all of the things, make it look fancy. You'll be fine. It'll be fine, and you only have to bend down once to get in and out of the oven because you've got them on a baking tray together. You know, we got to be smart about these things, girls and fellas. So while I finish doing off that and popping them in the oven, let's talk about this collaboration, right? So we're talking about CakeFest 2026, and it is being run by Tammy over at MTN Grandma and Tina over at Life in the Piedmont, and they're doing an awesome job. There are a load of other people who are in this collaboration too, and there is a schedule and a link to all of their channels down below in the description. So you need to go down below to the description, okay? I'm just saying. There's also going to be a giveaway on March the 3rd at 6 p.m. I'm pretty sure that's Eastern Standard Time. Pretty sure. But go and check out on one of their channels, because you will find it. I'm just reading the email. Okay? I'm just saying. But make sure that you need a nice comment on the channel's videos and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, you never know. You never know. If you turn up at the giveaway, you might end up with a prize. Personally, I reckon that the biggest prize we get out of this is 28 new cake recipes. I'm just saying. But, you know, go win something. You got to be in it to win it. Get over there. Oh, this is the first cake I pulled out my oven. I pulled it out at 35 minutes. I was very excited. I left the other one in because it didn't really look cooked, and it didn't look cooked on the top. Okay, it didn't look it. It looked a little too soggy. This one, although it kind of looks done, it might just surprise us. Now, if I'd been really smart, I would have got a skewer out and poked it. But I didn't, because I'm an idiot. And I was far too excitemated for this cake. Now, if you can see in there right now, this middle is starting to saggy a little bit. Just a little bit. Only a little bit. And it did poop itself, as you can see, underneath. It did do that. It did poop itself. At the end of the day, though, it is not a disaster. Okay, it's not a disaster, let's be honest. It really, really isn't. Will you watch your camera work, woman? Okay, it's only a small amount in the middle, as you can see on the right hand side there, that's come out. The rest of the cake is fine. So what I did with that, and the one on the left, by the way, is I left that in for an extra 10 minutes. So mine did 45 minutes, which is fine. And then you make it icing sugar, okay? Make it icing sugar. Now it's only icing sugar in a bit of water. It's not a thick glaze. It's not a thin glaze. It's kind of ribbony, but you still want it to have that little bit of a drip happening, if you know what I mean. You don't want it thick, but you don't want it thin. You want it in between-ish. Oh, man, I need to sleep. My nap time. Is it my nap time yet? Now, to make sure the cleanup is really, really simple, I'm going to use one of my old baking trays that I don't use for baking anymore. And we're going to cover it in plastic wrap. Now, I don't use this very often. I've had this particular roll for about 4 years now. But I save it for this kind of occasion, okay? Where I get to wrap up the baking tray in the plastic, so I can just take the plastic off and chuck it in the bin, right, when I'm done. But it basically works like a drip tray. So you put your rack on, you cover it in the plastic, you put your rack on top of it, and then you can ice over the top of that. So you don't have to worry about cleaning up the sticky stuff. Because I don't like cleaning up the sticky stuff. I don't like getting the sticky stuff on me. The whole thing is... But this will save you all that bother. just make sure to wrap the entire thing, because even if you leave out a tiny bit, you know Sod's Law tells you that it's going to get messy in that corner and that corner alone, and you're going to just sweat lots, probably more than me. I don't know, I'm not at your house. So this is our slightly undercooked cake, and I'm going to show you what we're going to do with this one. Okay, so we're going to get our knife and we're going to cut around the uncooked bit. Okay, it's very simple, very easy. Not a major skill set. You can tell where it's cooked and where it's not. And you want to cut that metal piece now in two. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn those bits that are cooked into individual pieces and ice them separately to the big cake. So instead of icing it like a big cake, we're going to do it like individual little ones. Okay, which can be good if, you know, you've got little ones around and they want to feel a bit special. There you go. You can give them some of this and they'll go, oh look, I got one all of mine, you know. Now the next thing you have to understand is that you cannot put this icing on your cakes if they are still warm, which is why we're doing these ones, not the big one. Okay, you'll see the big one eventually, just not right now. And just pour your icing on, spread it out a bit. You don't want this to be really thick, okay? If it's really thick, it will just be too much, all right? You don't want too much, you just want enough. You have to remember, at the end of the day, this was designed for small children. This was designed for kids in primary school, okay? Now, I don't know if you've noticed or not, but little kids will either eat all of the icing and leave the cake, or they'll eat all the cake and leave the icing. With this cake, because the icing is so thin, but there's enough of it there that adds to a little bit of the sweetness of the cake, it tends to all go and there tends not to be any waste. I'm not even kidding. I used to make huge cakes for my kids for their birthdays, and I will tell you that half the time either the cake was left and the icing was eaten, or the icing was eaten and the cake was left. This however, oh yeah, and be generous with those sprinkles. If you're not generous with those sprinkles, what kind of, you know, creature are you? No, you're not a human if you're not being generous. You see those drippy bits? That's what your icing needs to be like. Yeah, it does. And you need a cup of tea or a brew, and you need to go and enjoy it. Yes, you do. Thanks for being here, guys. Don't forget to go and check out the other channels, and I will see you very, very soon. Love you guys heaps. Bye.